Photographers are never photographed. I always joke there are no pictures of me on the planet. I had always had this idea of photographers photographing other photographers in Cincinnati. So I put together a committee, and we decided that we would do a random drawing out of a hat. We invited about 100 photographers, and we were amazed that about half of them wanted to participate. It was very exciting.
Shooting another photographer is a lot of pressure because we all want to tell everybody else what to do.
I didn't really think about that, actually. It didn't make me uncomfortable. I think I definitely, wanted to do a good job for the project. So I didn't really approach it any differently than any other shoot. Shannon shot me first, and I had really wanted to go out on the tree, and it was great. So I'm like, go out on the tree and all this stuff. So I'm looking through all the pictures that we did, and it was clear that this wasn't Shannon's element, And we had a great time, but so the picture that I chose, first of all, I love the image, I love the composition and the colors, and it was important to me to capture Shannon. And I like that picture because even though you can't see her face, you can see her rings and her tattoos and what she's wearing, and just the fact that she would get into the water with that great skirt, and and she really liked the picture too. It's funny because both of us, the picture that we chose wouldn't necessarily be the one we would have chosen, but it was great fun. Yeah, it's been a great experience.
We get so accustomed to being, and I guess it's a cliche answer, on the other side of the lens. And all of those things that we tell our subjects that we are photographing to do, to be comfortable and to relax and to just act as though, it was just an everyday thing. All of that goes out the window, Janie Stevens photographed me, and she was wonderfully comforting, so she made it, a whole lot easier for me. I photographed Carrie Cochran. She's one of the photojournalists at the Enquirer, and it was no different than photographing anyone else. For me, she had the same kind of photographer not being behind the camera jitters as, and we had an opportunity to sit down and discuss, all of those kinds of things really before we got into our photo session.
There was definitely peer pressure, and that you weren't sure what you were going to run into on either side, shooting one photographer or being shot by a photographer. So we're used to being on that side. You never know what the circumstances are going to be, and then I say we're at our best when we just react to the situation. So we came up with a couple props. I brought a couple with me, and we went from there. And her posing just made it so much easier. I mean, I had to deal with lighting and focus, so it was easy. It was actually pretty easy. I had so many options to pick from that it was pleasant, which I was afraid of. I was afraid you got to get at least one, and it was better than that. So, yeah, because that's what we do.
The awkward part of it is, of course, being photographed as being a photographer.
Yeah. Tell me about your session.
Our session was wonderful, though, because Helen really makes a person feel at ease. She's really kind and considerate and funny. I loved, being with her.
It is kind of a lot of pressure to photograph another photographer, because you feel more scrutinized by one of your colleagues. But Lisa is the kindest, sweetest person, and she's a neighbor, and we've known each other for a while, so it was really a comfortable situation. Once I got rolling, I lost that, any anxiety I had about pleasing her. It just felt really natural and good. I was so excited because Tony Aerosmith drew my name, and in my mind, he's, like commercial photographer god in town, and I was really excited about getting to watch another photographer do their thing. He came over like at 8:30 in the morning and was here till 1 or 1:30 in the afternoon. And it was so, he brought everything he owned in here. The house was filled, it was like a Hollywood set. So it had all this bling, and he brought his assistant, and watching them set up was really fun. And then it was all mostly set up, because I think I sat down, I think he took 12 pictures. It's just so interesting to see everybody else's process. Everybody's different, and I love the pictures, and I loved watching them work.
Brad Smith pulled my name out of the hat, and I was very excited about that too. I hadn't met Brad before. I've known of him. I've seen a little bit of his work, and I thought I was very excited. Like, oh wow, I'm going to have some really great photographs of myself. He's going to take some really cool pictures of me. You know, he photographed me for about 2 hours, which I was surprised. You know, and in a number of different areas around my house, with my dogs, without my dogs, you know, moving around inside, outside. And I think he came up with a really great emotional shot of me with my puppy. I picked Bob Fleischl's name out of the hat, and I was very happy about that, because I've actually known him for a long time, and he's the first photographer really I met in Cincinnati when I moved back here a long time ago. We had a great time. I mean, I actually have to say, of course, I was intimidated to photograph him. I mean, because, you know, I mean, he pretty well took on the role of being photographed, you know, just trying to relax, didn't seem to be like checking out what I was doing particularly. So it was fun. It was loose. It was like an hour that we spent together in the park, and I think I got some nice shots of him, and fortunately he loved them when I sent them to him.
As far as being photographed, it didn't bother me, because I've had my picture taken. You know, one of the things that I'm sure Mark will attest to is when photographers get bored or there's nothing going on, we tend to shoot each other. Hopefully in some embarrassing situation, so we can, you know, keep an edge. So it was no big deal in that regard. You know. Mike Caporal photographed me. He photographed me in front of the what used to be the Time Star building. Probably still is, but now they had a juvenile court there. And we shot there, and then we rode over toward Washington Park, but we pretty much went with what he shot there. So that was sort of interesting, because he put probably a different way of doing it than I would normally have done it, or as I did my photograph. Pretty much think, what do I want to do? Go do it, no conversation, how you doing? You know, goodbye, I'm done. I like the concept of photographers shooting other photographers for a couple of reasons, for sure. Number one, normally photographers don't get their picture taken. They're the guys or the women that are doing the taking of the photographs. And then the other thing that I like is I thought it was an excellent vehicle to identify and let the public in Cincinnati know about some of the photographers that are working here in this area. They might have seen a name, you know, but they've never seen a face. So it puts a face to the name, it puts a human thing into it. And I think that is because a lot of times photographs are viewed by the public, but they don't know who shot it. They'll see the credit line, but you could be standing right next to them and they wouldn't know it was you. So when Helen presented this idea, Helen Adams presented this idea, I thought, man, this is a great idea. It really is. And very much, and I think it's going to work out really good.